Okay, thank you so much for joining me. This is going to be some information about events. Excuse me. Some basic stuff for sure. But with inside the basic stuff, some tips and tricks which I think are going to help with self-sufficiency, right? These are going to be things that I see on a reoccurring nature happening over here in our department between the application and the clients. Excuse me. But even though this is events, you see I have the web forms menu on the left open already because the forms in the events are so connected. There, it would be impossible to really show the tips and tricks and train on that independently. So you're going to see a lot about forms as well. Some stuff about forms just by itself, but it is pertinent to, again, the self-sufficiency effort that we're really trying to create here. So I think I said thank you for showing up, but I really do mean it. I like to think there's a partnership here between, support department and our clients, more than just a kind of rote or a dry, enter a case and kind of limp you along. There's more that we can do to help. And I know we do this in other areas as well, but I think it's important that you see it from the support department at a ground level, what's happening in the application, what we're seeing, how to avoid it, best practices, things like that. So, I always consider the relationship a partnership. So I hope you do as well. And again, just thank you for showing up. So, time is money. We always say that, even if you're watching the recorded video. So let me get things going quickly here. I want to show you just how quickly we can do something like this. There's going to be, of course, additional configurations for consideration. But again, create a new form, event form, and it's going to ask me existing or no, and I'm going to create a new event. I'm just going to give an event name here. Very creative, I know. Let's see. We need a start date for sure. So it started there at the beginning of the month, and it's going to end at the end of the month. I could put a description if I wanted to, but I'll leave it the way it is. The next you see along the menu-driven items here is it's going to create tickets now. So this will just be ticket one. This price is $10. So number available is important. If there is a restriction or not, zero is obviously no limit, and you can add a sold out message here. These are all things that can be configurable after, but we do give consideration for these and call them out because we believe these are very important to the ticket workflow. I'm going to add another ticket. And then go next. And you'll see some advanced options here. So I am going to include the additional donation field, and I'll say a little bit about that in a second. I don't have sessions here, and this is just going to be basic, so I'm just going to create the form. So that was three areas of consideration there that are needed to build the form and actually build the event in this instance as well. And I just want to show you that the form now is in a default state where you can register. The event is in a default state where you can register. Just wanted to show you how easy this can be from this side of the house to get this running. So I know that there'll be additional configurations here. I don't like this logo. This isn't my colors, etc. And the event side will need some configurations as well. But if I want to purchase this ticket, I can go ahead and purchase this ticket now. Um, I could probably do this now, but I want to show you a pro tip here. I always call this out as a point of value in forums because some people know and some people just don't. But now that this form is created, I could actually assume the position of the registrant here, put this form in test mode, and you'll be able to see everything that the registrant's going to see when they go to check out. I call this confidence building because when you launch the event, you've actually seen the registration process take place. You've been able to ask questions about the registration process and how it works, and you're feeling very good. Again, another thing I say is, we're going to be standing on a ledge together. That this is going to go off without a hitch and feel right. So go to the advanced section. This is in the help center as well. just to show you the Help Center here, if you're not familiar with that either. It has tons of materials here. Um, some of them comprehensive, and we call that out and say so, comprehensive guide. So some of them a little bit long, but the information in there is extremely valuable. So use the sections to drive to the information that you want, because you're going to want to read that stuff for sure if you haven't already. So if I just come here and I say test forms, the first response here is how to test web forms. Here's the article's URL. You can read through this if you like. It's going to give you a little bit more details than what I'm going to give you here. And that's always 100% going to be the case on any interactions you have with support. The, um, the corresponding documents, videos, the academy, it's going to go into much more detail than we can do, in our interactions. But let me move on. I just wanted to show you that for sure. There's tons of information here. So I'm going to put it in test mode. Quick and dirty here. Advanced, payments, general. Turn the processing off. It's going to warn you, right? And that's okay. Great. That's what we want to do. Something that you could do if you were not testing the emails is you could just turn the emails off. A lot of times there's consideration for the internal carbon copy. It's on. We don't want other people to be bothered in their inbox with our testing, so you could turn that off as well, saying maybe we're testing something midstream here, right? I know this is the first test we'll do on it, so I'm going to leave everything on the way it is. All we really need to do is turn the payment processing off and save it. So that's what I'm going to do. When we do this, the effect is that the transaction then will not be processed. It'll not be pushed to the processor, and we'll have an opportunity to view the transaction, what happened on the transaction, and then we can delete the transaction and delete the contact associated with the transaction and delete the registration at the same time, if that's what we want to do. And then we'll be able to see content, success pages, review pages, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So this form is in test mode. We'll open it up. I'm going to just buy one of these tickets here. Right. So this is something new for us. This is whether you're registering yourself or somebody else. There's obviously no guests in this ticket because we didn't have the configuration option, but here's an option if you need to add somebody else. Then the additional donation field, like we saw, we wanted to add here, and then just the contact info, bear with me. Okay. Pro tip here, word to the wise. Yes, you would like to receive all communications, because if you uncheck that like I just did and check out, then you have opted out of email communication. So it is important to leave this on while you're testing as well. I see a lot of cases come through that all of a sudden their testers are out of communications, and it happened via advocacy, it happened via web form, right? This stuff is very important to pay attention to when you're testing. This is yeah, there's a Visa test card that we use here. I don't think that's in the article, honestly. So here it is here, right? So it's 4 and 15 ones. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Hope that's right. The form will let us know if it's not. In the future here, for any of this stuff, just make sure you're in the future. And then I'm going to go ahead and register. And you can see the registration was successful. We have a very generic success page, but again, out of the box, it's ready to go. It can be used. If I go to the form now, I want to show you how to drill through to see this transaction. So I see this is the registration form for Brian Event 123. So if I get this form up on the listing screen, registration form here, if I drill through here this way to the transactions, you're going to see that the form filter is applied automatically. So it's just a little bit of an ease of use operation here to make sure that you're only going to see now the transactions that was created by the form. And you can see it's me, it's my address. It matched to me because I didn't ask for anything about an organization. So we know the matching is working correctly on the form. I'm a returned registrant here, right? We can see the payment method, we can see the amount. Here, we can see the status is pending. That means we can delete it, but we see over here that there was a registration created from this web form for this event, Brian123 event. Right. So if I ran over to the event registrations, we would be able to see that now. So really, a long explanation for a very quick and short process to get this up and running right away. Let me just do today here. We'll be good with our filtering. Great. So you see that I purchased ticket one, which was true. It was $10. This ticket had no guest. But as you can see, I'm here and I'm registered and I'm ready to go for that event. And really all we did was open up the forms module, create a new event form, define the event, define the tickets, and away we went. The wizardry in the background took care of everything else. So that's really the main point I wanted to drive home here is how quickly and efficiently and effectively you can get the back end processes talking to each other. That's the most important thing because if you don't operate in this manner, odd things can happen. I want to show you one odd thing that can happen when you try to, let's say, duplicate a form, right? So this event is over. I want to do it again for next year, right? So instead of going through the wizard to build next year's form, I see a lot of duplication go on, which is absolutely fine. But there is some things that you need to understand here. So I don't, um, I'm just going to use the existing for now. It's fine. Because obviously we would want a new event, but I'm probably going to connect it to an existing event as well. So in this scenario, what I'm saying is you would already, so you're not using the wizardry, you would have already went to the event section and set up your event, poked around tabs, added dates, things like that, right? You know, stuff that needs to be done, maybe per se, depending upon the event, but you know, you didn't use the wizardry to connect. So there's going to be some things that you need to watch out for. I've probably said that three different ways now, so I hope that's I hope it's clear because I'm going to get to something here in a second. I need to change this event because this is for a duplicate event, so now I'm going to manage my form. When I come into manage my form, if it's an event registration type, you're going to see the event tab is here, and you're going to see it's connected to Brian event 123. Right. So now it's like, oh, yes, of course, I need to change my event. I need to change it to the best man. Right. And then now I save it. So now in my mind, this form and this event are connected and they understand that the new event is in place. And that's what I want to use. But when I go back to the layout section, I still see these tickets available. So I say to myself, right, I need to change these tickets. I need to change this ticket. So you go in to manage the ticket. Excuse me. And you see that, oh, it's the right one for that. It is the test one ticket. That's what I want because that's what's in that event. So this must be right. So that's fine. So I changed the event. I saw the ticket type changed. So everything must be okay. So then I go ahead and I save this as a duplicated event and I'll check out. When you check out, you're going to get a checkout registration that's associated with the old event. Because in reality here, you have not changed these tickets. All you've told CharityEngine form to do is point to this new event and get prepared. The preparation is in the background. The preparation says, I'm going to pull in the event configurations that I know are connected to this event, one of them being the tickets, of course, right? So if I go to the layout section and I go to this ticket or I go to this ticket, I'm only going to be viewing the available tickets that are in the dropdown because the event has told me now, load up this ticket. Do you see test one ticket is on ticket two as well? There's only one ticket for this other event, but it's being shown in the dropdown for both tickets. This is a huge disconnect and a big problem. And this is definitely not our best practice for doing this. If you want to duplicate an event form like you just saw me do, then the best practice is to use the modular effect that we've provided you with the sections. And this is really what I want to show you here. So for load up the event, 100% true. And this is a best practice for duplication. I'm just going to tell you outright, I don't like duplication. Duplication leaves risk for what I call stale configurations. Configurations that are buried in the message and design templates, the acknowledgement receiving, some special wording that's buried in there that we don't think about needing to reconfigure, right? If you want to duplicate an event, you need to think about duplication from the beginning. You need to say to yourself, this isn't a run. This is a gala that we do every year. The receipting is going to be very similar. We're going to keep a standards for how it looks and how it feels. We're just going to be changing date information, right? When you have a mentality like that, then you're going to be better off. But if you just trick out one form and then you say to yourself, I'm going to duplicate that, I guarantee you we'll be talking for sure. You'll have a case in 100%. Well, nothing's 100%, right? I'm driving home something that I believe in, so bear with me. But yeah, change the event. It loads it up here. Go to the layout section. Here's the modular effect. I don't want this anymore because it's from the old event, so I'm just going to get rid of it. It's going to ask me, are you sure? I'm going to say yes. Now that the event section is gone, if I click add an event, you're going to see the wizardry come back and you're going to see that it's true. There's only one ticket for this event. And obviously that's what I want. I'm going to save it. I'm going to move my event section up with the arrow back to the top where it belongs. I'm a big saver. You do not need to save after that, but I believe it clears out the cache a little bit better. Um, whether that's just, I don't have any data behind that. Again, everybody's different, right? So general tab and then view the form. And we'll see now that we definitely are on the correct event and we have the correct quantity here, right? So if you want to duplicate that, that's my best practice for duplication, is to 100% load the event, come to the layout section, delete the entire event info, add the event info section back, add your correct tickets, do your configurations, save it, view it, test it, etc. Right? Same process that we used previous. Okay, great. Along the same lines of the modular effect in the form, it's not only true for events, it's true for everything else. So there's wizardry behind every one of these system sections. When you add a custom section, no wizardry available, you're on your own. But it's so important that you know that configuration items are underneath here. Additional donation, contact info, payment. I'm going to go back to additional donation because I don't think there's anything there. Right? This is a section where you don't configure anything because it's there configured for you by the wizard and there's no configurable options, but it is a system section, right? And I'm going to show you again the modular effect of using the system section. So the additional donation is something that's only available at the creation of the event form. It's a one-time ask. If I delete this, I'm not going to be able to get it back. It doesn't scare me, right? I'm going to delete it. And I'll show you why, because we have a gift amount here that I can add, right? And when I add it, now I get the wizardry, right? So I just want one times and monthlies. I'm just going to add a couple here for each one, right? I don't think I added for monthly. So then what can I do? I go back into the gift section, right? I go to monthly amounts and I add them in. Right, so there, I just wanted to show you that wizardry that happens there in the background. Again, I'm gonna move this up. Let's see, I'm gonna move it up below contact info, above contact info. Totally up to you where you want to move this. I'm gonna leave it right there under the contact info, just to give people a little bit of a break from pounding in their information there to give them something to think about. So let's see, I open it up. Right, I'm gonna do my ticket, and then I'm gonna verify my info, and then it's like, oh, would you like to? Oh, right, okay, yeah, for sure. Now I have my very graphical, definable as strings and custom amount field here that I can use to then add an additional to this. Now, again, you cannot get the streamlined additional. You can't get back. You're not going to be able to get that back. You would just redo this form and then move on with life, right? So that's that modular effect on the form I wanted to show you. It's so super important that you understand that these are systems, and you can also create customs, right? Same thing here. If I wanted to add a tribute in here, you see the wizardry pops up immediately, right? And I have options based on the wizard stuff. So it's also my best practice. And I know this is a ton about forms, bear with me. My best practice here is to not inject fields into the system sections, because sometimes they can have adverse effects on the functionality and the cosmetics. Just depends on what you add here. Very simple fields you're going to get away with, of course. You're just adding a text field in here. But when you start doing other types of fields inside of here, there can be some conflict with the wizardry in the background. So I just want to say that if you needed to add something underneath contact info, you would add a custom section. You would save it. You would move it up. You'd create a field, right? Oops. And you're like, well, okay, that's fine and dandy, but there's a disconnect here because it's going to show the labels. Well, then you just edit these things, right? You go to advanced, right? There's display options here. Once you get into the advanced section of a custom section, of course, because you can customize it. It's these are things you can get into where in the custom section you can't. So I don't want to display it on any of these pages, right? And when you say that, then this doesn't display, right? So those are the options that you have in the custom section. Saying that, you can add a custom section here and a custom field, and you can hide the label on the field, you can hide the label on the thing, and it looks like it's just floating right underneath the contact info, right? I'm not going to show you that, but trust me, it works that way. Okay, let's see, what else did I want to show here? Yes, so now that we're up and running, and let me just go back to the original form, I think is what I want to do here, right? Registration form event here, this one. Now that we're up and running, we want to add I'm just going to delete this if you don't mind. Thank you. We need to add a ticket, right? So it's like something that I see happen here as well. Now that we know what we know about the modular effect and the form wizardry, we should have a more balanced approach to adding and removing tickets, right? And hopefully you can see that in your mind as we've moved along here. But I have this registration form open, this registration form open. I want to go to the event and I want to add a ticket. I might delete this event over here as well. The one that I created here. Here, good. Yep. Brian event 123, right? Well, I want to check, right? So it's like, oh, okay, I want to check registration form for Brian event 123. But is that really what's going on? I need to check the event. Brian event 123. Perfect, right? So those things match. So I know I'm on the right event. And then I have two tickets here, right? So if I click these two tickets, I should be into the ticket workflow for this. And I should be able to add a new. So someone told me, hey, we need a new ticket, right? So, okay, great. This is going to be a new ticket. Excuse me, it is going to be active. This one is going to be $30. Tax deductible amount, pro tip here, I because it defaults to 0, I see people tab through it. So this could be partial tax deductible amount of this. This could be no tax deductible, or it could be full tax deductible. This is a recurring case we see over here as well when it's not filled in. The place that you change that is on the ticket, right? So total available is very important as well. So I'm just walking off the beaten path here for a second. I'll get back on track because these things are super important as well. When I set the total available limit, it's based on something that I talked about, right? So I like to say, life follows this parameters, and I feel like, the application planning here follows it as well, where I'm going to like think about what I'm doing. I'm going to configure and execute, and then I'm going to, what I call observe, right? So in the thinking about it, and right, there was an idea to have 5 available total, but now we've changed our mind. We want to do 10 available. Everybody says that's great. So in the real world, everything has changed, but in the virtual world, Not everything has. So this gets to 5, and then guess what happens? The ticket no longer shows on the form, or the ticket grays out and people can't collect, and then we get cases. You talk to Brian. Brian, what's wrong? Well, you didn't up your total available to 10 then when you needed to do that. So the thinking phase, it goes in coordination with the configuration phase for sure, right? The configuration phase is a kind of greasing the skids into the execution, right? The execution is kind of go live. So when things change in the thinking aspect of it, we need to also make sure that we're looking at the configuration aspect of it. Even if you don't know if the configuration exists, you can put in a case for me to know, and I'll let you. Same thing with number of guests. That could change from time to time. One thing I want to say about number of guests is this is a recurring case as well. Guests are counted as a ticket. So if I have me and I'm allowed to bring a +1 to a gala, then that'll be a total of 2 tickets sold per registration for person, right? So that is another recurring um, case we get over here about why did we sell so many so quickly, right? Well, you're 1 per guest as well. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to stick here for a minute. Bear with me. I just want to remind everybody I'm creating a new ticket, and I'm going to go back and add this ticket to the form. But I just wanted to go here as well because there is things that happen here for sure. And I'll see if I can mock this up. This should happen in real time. There's some caching involved, right? But the sale start date. So the idea here is like early bird ticketing, right? So I could say I want an early bird ticket to start at this date and then end at this date. And then there's considerations for the display before and after. So early bird ticket, yes, I would want to have out there. Well, my consideration. This is how I see it, right? I want it to display before, just for an enticing effect, right? Like early bird tickets go on sale in 2 weeks, right? So I'm displaying it, and then when the start date comes, you're going to be allowed to then select it. It's not going to be grayed out anymore. You're going to select it. Once you start selecting it, once you get to the sale end date, it's going to cut off. You're not going to be allowed to select anymore. And then for me, display after is no. So once the end date comes, this one goes out. And then what you have is then the live ticket that goes after the early bird will have the start date to pick up the same day as this one. So this one will go out and the real ticket will come in, and you will actually have to do nothing on the form in order to make that happen. Except maybe open it. I'm just this way, right? Almost double checking, right? Of course. So I'm going to open the form and make sure I see that the early bird's off and the new one's on. I'm definitely going to see it because I know I made my configurations and I'm building confidence on those and testing, right? So I go and I see it and everything works out fine. I didn't need to touch any buttons, right? One more thing happens here: the max purchase quantity, right? The max purchase quantity. This is per checkout, right? So just make sure you understand what you're setting here, because the sold out message as well, right? You could just, when it's sold out, excuse me, this means you're selling it out. I see recurring cases on this as well. This doesn't mean that, yes, I want to have the sold out message display when it's sold out. This means I'm selling out the tickets right now. I definitely see people come and select this and they say, well, yes, I want to use the sold out message. And then when they go to their form, the ticket says sold out. Right. So be careful with that. You just want to apply the sold out message and then hide after it's sold out, yes or no. That's all you want to do. And let the system take care of this by itself. So there's a flow here of ticket display in and out. There's a flow here of ticket sold out message. And then the last thing I wanted to show you here that people don't use as much is the online description for the ticket. So something like, again, a gala, a sponsorship ticket at this level, the bronze level, gets you a full page ad in the show book. It gets you a guest speaker for 30 minutes, right? So all that stuff can be displayed here in a WYSIWYG format that accepts HTML as well, right? You can put full HTML in here, and this will really draw attention to the tickets. There'll be a great understanding of what the ticket does in line with the ticket, right? So if I say ticket, DESCRIP, ticket description, I probably won't show that, but I just wanted to show you, you could put it in there. And then what you could do is just, again, use the full WYSIWYG to create these hyperlinks and such, right? If I wanted to do this and then say there's a link there, I put my URL in there and I save it, right? Very simple, but very powerful. That's what I love about, a lot of the things about CharityEngine is they are simple, but the effect that they have does provide value, and power. So here we go. I added a ticket. I didn't forget. I'm going back to add it again. So I just like to go back here and see it in the ticket section. Again, this is all Brian's stuff. Brian loves to double check and triple check, but why not? Right? I mean, it took me a second to come see that I do have 3 tickets now labeled here and I'm ready to go. Right. So I need to go back to the form. That's the consideration, right? I'm coming back to the 1, 2, 3 event form. I know I have my event here. We saw that. So in the layout section, I have my fields. I have ticket 1 and ticket 2. So knowing what we know about the wizardry now, what do? I click the section. When I click the section, voila, I see my new ticket. I add my new ticket and I save. It's as easy as that. Okay. What I see some clients do is expand this and then they're like, okay, I need to add a field here because that's what I'm used to, like in the custom section. So I add a field. It's going to be a ticket quantity field. I need to add a session field. I need to add a soda, right, like that. So you can see the complexity that you would feel like is necessary if you didn't understand the strategy behind the sections and the wizardry behind the efficiency, right, that we're trying to provide here by doing this for you. Okay, great. That's excellent. So that's how you would add that ticket if you needed to. And again, if you felt like this was messed up and there was something wrong with this, again, you could completely remove this again. You could completely add this back again and be ready to go. Add the event section. Here's the complete wizardry. Again, I want all 3 tickets. I want to save it. It adds it back in here. Does it add it back in here? Right. Again, arrow to the top, wherever you want the events to show. Save it and you're back in business, and you can see the 15 fields is back there now because of the 3rd ticket that we added, right? So if you can avoid avoid the things that I call out here, you're going to be doing good. You're going to be doing really good. Again, just to recap really quickly, I'm not a big believer in a duplication of the event form unless your thinking part of the 3-part strategy is based on duplication of the events. And you set it that way from the beginning. So when you move into configuration, then you understand that I'm configuring it to be. So some things that go into effect there would be the fact that I want to think about how I'm going to templatize the receipting, how I'm going to templatize the content, right, in the form. Those are the things that you'd want to do. That's perfect. I'm not a big believer in duplication. I did want to say that for sure. The modular effect that we went over for the forms, please, all of that. We talked about removing the additional donation, but knowing that it's a one-time effect. We talked about adding the gift string back. It has some different visuals and different drivers when donors / registrants come and see it. We talked about not adding custom fields here to the system sections. We talked about adding custom sections and hiding labels. And then we talked about the wizardry behind all the sections and the configurations that it presents, right? Okay, excellent. Over on the event side, we talked about the tickets and the stuff you can do. Maybe I can show you just real quickly, maybe one thing about that. So this is ticket 1, right? Let me just view the form. Great, ticket 1, ticket 1. Great. So if I come back to the event, I'm in the tickets, I go to ticket 1 and I manage it, just to show what this looks like so that you can be visually connected with what's happening on the form, because I get a lot of cases that say it's gray, it's not on there, it's not visible, right? So if I say that the start date is going to be the 7th, excuse me, the start date is going to be the 10th, and I want to display before the start date, yes, and I click save, we should see that configuration then become available on ticket 1. Let's see. Sometimes we need to save the form. Again, this has cache in it, so I will make sure that I've saved this. I will go to the form. I'll save this, and then we'll view it again, and we'll see if that configuration takes place. I had mentioned this earlier that I wasn't going to show it because of this caching, but let's just see. Yeah, I don't see it here for right now, so no big deal. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it. Right. So you can't see it, but I can't select anything here. Nothing selectable for me here. Right. Nothing selectable because the ticket description at this point should probably say early bird. Right. Or excuse me, the ticket name should probably be called early bird. But yeah, I'm clicking and clicking. Nothing's happening. So I wanted to show you that. Right. Let's do one more. Let's do one more. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to say that the ticket is active now. It started on Friday. I want to display before that. Right. But then there's an end date. And the end date was actually the 8th. So display after the end date, yes, and save. So this will mock up that it was in for one day and then out, but we're on the 9th, so now we should not be able to see it. So I'm going to try this again here. I'm a sucker. Sucker for the cache. Let's see. Yeah, save condition. Yeah, so I'll have to do the same thing. Let's see. Make sure I save this. Go to the form. Make sure I save that. And then click here. And we'll see. No, I still have it in the same condition. So a lot of times I use different browsers to test this aspect of it, but this is definitely something that causes people trouble. I just want to call that out one more time. All right. Let's move on to I wanted to talk a little bit about the communicating and a little bit, I mean, just a tiny bit. I've really driven home, I think, what I wanted to drive home about the events, right? So let me go to the event registrations. And let me close down these tabs. Event registrations. Couple things to think about here that I'm not sure that people know we have the capability to do. One is the send messages. So if I want to send messages to everybody on this screen, I can use these double gears. I can send messages this way. What do I want to send? I can actually send a mail initiative, push them into a series. I could send a simple email, right? Or simple letter. I'll just do letter at this point, right? Create activities that I sent it or not. Go next, and you'll see this is the acknowledgement type workflow where I can then load up a template. I load up my template, and then I can communicate with these people, right? In this manner. I just wanted to show you that that's possible as a quick type of communication. Something I always say, I'm going to use this example again here in a second, but something I always say is like extra large t-shirts are in. They were out, they're in. Anybody who ordered extra large, I need to know. Brian ordered extra large. I need to send him a message to come down and pick up his t-shirt, right? So then I'm just going to send him a simple message here. You can do this as well under the multi-select. If there was more here, you could select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could do send messages. You could select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could do send messages. You're going to see the same thing pop up here, right? Here we give you options. Here we don't. We're going to sending this nice WYSIWYG acknowledge flow here. So what can you do with that? I wanted to show you one thing. These tickets have no guests, but you could send the guest link where they could fill in that as well. We should add a guest to this ticket because there is a new capability probably that you should see as well. So let's just do that really quickly. I apologize. I'm going to drive backwards for a minute. I was wrapping up, but I'm going to drive back and it's going to add some guests here. I'm going to add 3 guests and click save. And then we'll go back to the form. And the form here, just going to view it from within inside of here in case I need to save it again. Like I said, I'm a big saver. Open it up here. And I did ticket 1, right? Oh yeah, right? I fell for it. You see how easy that is? right? So I added my number of guests, but guess what? I still have my configurations for here. So I went back to the form expecting that, and it didn't work. And then guess what? I have to put in a case and say something's wrong with the ticket. I don't know how to test it, right? So let me remove all of these dates and all of these displays, and save this. Go to the form, save that. We're going to open it up. And sorry I had to drive backwards here for a second, but this is important because it is something new to us, right? This is still not working. Let's see if we can drive it out doing this. It still doesn't like it. If I viewed this in another browser, it would be okay. But ticket 2, works. So while that one's getting in there, we can go to ticket 2. I go back to events. I'm just going to do events this way and drill through to tickets. Here to tickets. Got 3 in there now. Let's see. Ticket 2. You can see I sold one there as well. That just wanted to say that shows up in real time. Ticket 2. Just add 2 guests to that one as well. Right, so ticket 2, right, you see I got 1 in here now, so it's the same thing, but now you see we have the ability to add guests in line. So that's what I wanted to show you. So thank you for your patience for that, really. But I can add up to the number of guests that I added to ticket 2, which was 2. And when I add the names here, they will get added to the registrations as I check out. So I just wanted to show you that because it is a new capability to do that as well. Okay, great. And then the communicating for the event on the registrations, I wanted to show you that register in the registrations here, you can communicate to people individually that way. Also, if you wanted to communicate to people via a query, you could, and I'll show you why you would want to do that. Okay, this is not about configurations of queries or putting together queries. If you have any questions about that, of course you could enter a case, right? But the idea is that you gather up these people from this event registration by using the event ID. And then you're going to communicate to them with inside this query. So new query, bear with me. Again, no questions about this. This is not about this. This is just about showing you something once we get there, right? So we can do events, we can do event registrations, continue. I'll do the event ID, paste, and then just bring me my contact info. And just run it to see that it's me. And that's my registration ID. I save it. Says Brian Reg Comms. Save it. Right. Now I'm just going to go back to the queries screen. And here are the settings. So I hear clients say this, not all, but some, um, that when you sign up to an event, that you are opting yourself into communications for that event. And it makes sense, right? I mean, we'd want to communicate with you for sure. That again, like I said, like the t-shirts are in, right? Like extra large t-shirts are in. So there's a way to do that at the query level here that you can force the communications to go through even if someone is opted out, right? And you may want to maybe lay the groundwork for that on the registration form, where you would say something to the effect like, clicking this box is consent to, receiving communications about the event, regardless of your opt-out status, something like that. Or, the box actually wouldn't be there because you wouldn't want people to uncheck it, right? Things like that. So consideration there. This query is not coming up for me, so that's just the way it goes. I see that's happening for sure. So I probably might not be able to show you what I want to show you here about the listing screen in the query. Let's see if that's true, because that really is the last thing I want to show here. Just because it is a pro tip, there's no real recurring problem with it, but it's definitely a pro tip here that you should use. Let me automation general queries. The ID. No, here we go. Right. So if I hover over the three dots and I go to initiative settings for this query and I go to advanced, this is where you're going to find these advanced settings to drive through these communications to your event audience. Now, I say this because it's 100% true. When we send official campaign mailer communications via a query, it is for targeted sends. That's what I call it, targeted sends. So it's a one-time send, right? It's not going to be recurring. If any of those conditions exist where it's a recurring send, it's a newsletter send, we're sending it, should be a list, right? That should be a list. Queries are targeted. As such, we have these targeted configurations you can use to get in or around the opt-out. So you can say, I'm not, suppress the unsubscribe link so that when I send this communication on the events, they can't get out, right? Just auto suppress the query opt-outs so that if someone tries to opt out of this query, it won't let them, right? Contact opt-outs, that's at the contact level, suppress that. And then individual email opt-outs, suppress that as well, right? So if you turn these like this, right, then you'll be able to get that communications to go through with regards to that configuration. So that is the last thing I wanted to show you. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I know going through this live can be, I think, exciting, but it can move slow at times too. So thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I believe this is really what I wanted to drive home, was to show you some stuff, like I said, basic configuration, but yes, then some of these pro tips, and then of course some of our best practice. So I hope you really enjoyed that. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.